My name is Niall Grandison, and today's webinar is titled Portugal Golden Visa March Update. So today it will be slightly less formal than you're accustomed to. So I have a lot of clients who are joining this webinar on behalf of friends and family. I've also got people that have been engaging with me for a few months and maybe a couple of years now, and seeking an update on Portugal. And there's a loyal YouTube audience as well, who follow our Holborn Pass channel. So don't be a stranger, drop us a line if you enjoy our content. But today will be a bit more of a fireside chat. There's been a few key updates that I'm excited to share with you. Okay, so the first update is the passport. So receiving your passport has just got a lot quicker. So on the 5th of March, there was a nationality law that got published. And what it means is the timeline has just condensed from what was usually 8 to 9 years in order to receive your passport from the date of starting the Portugal Golden Visa. It is now anticipated to be 6 years. So the actual law itself stipulated that the Portugal Golden Visa date would be from the time you requested the Portugal Golden Visa. We've spoken with our lawyers and we've had 2 or 3 legal opinions that suggest it will be the date of your online application that will count as day 1. So before, it was the date you received your golden visa, which was taking maybe 2, almost 3 years due to backlogs. Now, day 1 is classed as online submission. So that's really exciting, because what that means now is a lot of clients that I took on back in 2021 were looking at maybe receiving their passport at some point 2029, 2030. Now is 6 years. So anyone who applied in 2021 would be looking at 2027. It ties in quite nicely with the new immigration authority. So what's happened there is there's been a revamp of the old immigration authority called CEF. It was on the 29th of October, in fact, that AIMA got launched. AIMA is a brand new immigration authority that's aimed to address the backlogs that the Portugal Golden Visa has been experiencing. So now they're targeting anywhere between month 12 to month 15 to deliver the Golden Visa. So the timelines have improved. They've chucked a lot of money at it, actually invested 81 million euros. They've hired 190 new members of staff. And they've even gone as far as collaborating with private entities, such as lawyers, to help address the backlog. So here we've got the citizenship timeline before the changes. So on the left-hand side, you can see it roughly takes 1 to 3 months to gather all the documents ready to get the Golden Visa application submitted. Then we were seeing it was around year 2 or 3 for the Golden Visa to be approved. And it wasn't all the way up until maybe year 8 or 9 that our clients would get their passport in hand. Comparing this to what we interpret will be today's process, from when you submit your application, which would take 2 to 3 months, you will get your Golden Visa approved within 12 months. So that's your residency card, which enables you to live, work, and enjoy the rights as a Portuguese resident. Then it's a case of renewing. By year 5, you're in a position to apply for citizenship. And it roughly takes a year in order to receive your passport. So fantastic news all the way around. So I won't be today going through the entire process, but I think it's worth going over why the Portugal Golden Visa remains the most attractive for high net worth professionals. What we've seen across Europe, so a lot of Western countries, they've closed down their citizenship schemes. So there's only a few remaining, and Portugal, in my opinion, still remains the strongest for the typical client I see, and maybe my colleagues see as well. So the typical client that we deal with is a professional who's in a high earning jurisdiction. They're of that age, they still have a high earning capacity. Achieving a European citizenship is high on their priorities and objectives, but not to the level that they're willing to uproot their family and move across to a new country. Let's say, for example, Spain, I can immediately think of, in Greece, where you have to be a tax resident there in order to count towards the citizenship. Portugal is quite unique in the sense that you don't need to be a tax resident. You only have to visit on average 1 week per year over 5 years in order to be in a position to apply for the passport and ultimately full EU citizenship. It's one of the top 5 passports in the world. So you can travel across 189 countries visa free. Last year, it was the top retirement destination. Now, unfortunately, it's number 2. It got pipped by Costa Rica, and it's top 10 on the Peace Index. So it's a very stable country. This is very anecdotal, but I was reading a book about World War II, and Portugal was neutral. And it was that neutral during World War II that the pubs that the Germans and British frequented, they bumped into each other quite a lot. So it was that neutral that the Germans and the British were drinking together in a pub in Portugal, and there was no infighting. So it's a great hedge against political instability. So a lot of clients that I do take on are quite concerned about the divisive nature of politics, particularly in Western Europe. There tends to be a bit more of a rift between the proverbial left and right, and they're just using it as a way of just diversifying. So there's more than one option for their family. And that ties in quite nicely with the fact it's multi-generational. So this can get passed on to your children, your children's children, and your children's children's children. Right. Fresh off the press is the Portugal election. So last week, the party, I believe it's called Democratic Alliance, they're deemed as centre-right. They won by a fraction. They're still forming a majority, and they might have to pair up with another party. And I've written there as a disclaimer, just so I don't get in trouble with anybody, it's my job to remain completely apolitical. But just being completely objective, the previous government were socialist. And in Portugal, communism is quite popular in comparison to, say, the US and the UK. So the socialist government, they, I would say, weren't as friendly towards foreign investments, hence why we saw certain restrictions getting placed on the Portugal Golden Visa. So for those who do see a life in Portugal in the future, this might be a good political move in the right direction. And we might even see a return of tax incentives. So last year, there was something called the non-habitual residency scheme, which existed for years, where if you were to live there, you didn't have to pay any tax on foreign income or gains. So hopefully we do see that come along. Now, in terms of having the Portugal passport, one of the key benefits, of course, is the fact that you not only have a Portugal passport, but you pretty much have an EU passport. So there's 27 countries to choose from. So I have a few clients that want to retire to Europe and choose the most tax-free, the most tax-friendly jurisdiction, maybe in retirement. And I recommend this passport because it allows them to still live and work in a high earning jurisdiction. Let's think Dubai, Singapore, Hong Kong, New York, but then have this bubbling away in the background. And then in 5 or 10 years time, there's more than likely going to be a pocket or a country which does have a tax incentive. So a few examples I can give now is the likes of Malta, Italy. They're quite friendly to what's called non-domiciled individuals. So individuals that are not tied to their country, they will give them very good tax incentives. Portugal used to have that last year. Maybe they will reintroduce it. But the point that I'm trying to strike home here is the EU passport unlocks 27 countries. So it gives you a lot of options heading into retirement if that's one of your main drivers for looking at the Portugal passport. Right, the latest on investment routes. So the The laws did change on the 6th of October, where direct ownership of real estate closed down as an option. So the 280,000 qualifying level is now a minimum of 500,000 if you're doing it on an investment basis. The option to donate to arts still exists at the 250 level. But the main routes now for those who are wishing to invest into Portugal without too much active involvement is a venture capital fund. So that's a minimum of 500,000, but that's got to be with exposure to at least 60% of Portuguese companies, which has a few potential risks to look out for. As wealth managers, of course, we think about what constitutes a good fund. And the problem with a lot of venture capital funds and private equity funds is they can be quite opaque in nature and can be an absolute minefield to navigate. So we are always available. So do contact us if you do want us to vet an investment fund for you and perhaps give you some pointers on what to look out for in terms of lock-in periods, in terms of charges, and in terms of investment exposure as well. Then at the bottom, there's a very interesting addition, which is the capital transfer of a minimum of 500,000 euros for the reinforcement of share capital of a Portuguese company with the maintenance of at least 10 job positions for a minimum period of 3 years. So if I was to distill that, it's essentially identifying a great business and donating 500,000 to reinforce the share capital of that business. So that was introduced in October, but this is a trend I believe we will see, that there'll be more golden visa based investments which qualifies down this route now that the lawyers have sat down and interpreted what that really means. So that ties in quite nicely with the ever so popular Royal Obidos 5-star golf and spa resort. Now, this qualifies for the business route. It's an investment we're very familiar with. It opened in 2012. We were assigned a number of units for our clients back in 2021. We have a lot of clients who have qualified for the Golden Visa by investing into this hotel. That was back in 2021 phase 2. There was 124 units. The hotel itself, it's fantastic. I'm not a construction expert, but I'm sure for those who are, the units are designed by Philip Stark, very sleek. We have a private PGA golf course there, which was designed by Severiano Ballesteros, and it's completely exclusive to Holborn clients. And I do urge you to do your own due diligence and check it out on booking.com. It's actually been rated 8.7 across 2,000 reviews. And location-wise, it couldn't be in a better location. You're looking at a 30 to 45-minute drive from Lisbon. It's based on the Silver Coast, and it's right there on the Atlantic. Okay, so that's one of the investments, and this was a very, very short meeting. So I'm aware that, especially on YouTube and the webinars I've done in the past, that they can go on for 45 minutes to an hour. Today was just an update in terms of where we are in March. I hope this has been beneficial for you. Please contact me should you wish to understand more. So available to provide any further guides, available to provide illustrations if needed in terms of what it would cost for you and your family to get this all set up. In terms of us as a company, so we're a British family firm. We've been running for over 25 years now, amassed 3 billion in assets under management. We've got 20 offices around the world, particularly in key jurisdictions such as Dubai and Hong Kong. And we have just over 20,000 clients. We set up the citizenship department around 4 years, which is where I got my interest. So I've been doing this for 4 years now. Because I noticed it was something that our high net worth clients were demanding. Going back to what I said earlier, just pretty much as a political hedge and just diversifying their investments. So since then, we've gone from strength to strength. We've become the bona fide #1 Portugal Golden Visa agent, processing over 300 applications last year. 10% of the global market, and we've enjoyed 100% success rate on applications. So yeah, if you would like any further information, do feel free to get in touch. So in the top left-hand corner there, you have my email address and my WhatsApp number, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.